So Leafs fans, what do you want to talk about? This video is going to be a little different. For those of you who don't know, hi, my name is Steve Dangle and I have this YouTube channel where I talk about the Leafs after every Leafs game and a bunch of other stuff. And today is going to be a little bit different because something happened to the Leafs and I'm a little bit excited about it. And this is going to be a 2-in-1 video. The first half is going to be about that particular news item, whatever it may be. And the second half will be the regular LFR video, Leafs fan reaction video, where I talk about last night's Leafs win over the Minnesota Wild, complete with victory puppies. So now, if you're interested, here is my perfectly rational take on the news. William Nylander is a Toronto Maple Leaf, and don't you forget it! Oh, I hope Nylander gets traded, or even better yet, doesn't sign, just to watch Leaf fans freak out. Sorry to disappoint you, jerks! On idiot nakaechel? Nepravilna. Niet. Whatever, they're still not a contender. I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? William Nylander is a Toronto Maple Leaf! And Willie, my friend, welcome home. Welcome to the 19-8 Toronto Maple Leafs. Whatever, man. He held out on the team for 8 months. I can't forgive him for that. Yeah, I'm a little annoyed too, but I'm thinking you should get over it. Because the Leafs just made one of the best rosters in the NHL even better. Whatever, they don't even need him. They could have traded him for a defenseman. You know, if they wanted, they can still do that, right? In today's NHL, it's relatively easy to trade a good young player. You know that. And if they want to keep him, you could trade someone else. You know that. Well, how are they going to do that? What do you mean, how are they going to do that? There are teams in the NHL who have traded guys who are retired. Can they keep all 4? Kyle Dubas said, we can and we will. And so far, 2 down, 2 to go. Now, calming down a bit and getting to the actual news, William Nylander has signed a 6-year contract extension with the Leafs, paying him about $6.9 million against the cap for the next 6 seasons. That, of course, is not completely true. It's a little bit more complicated. This from Sportsnet's Chris Johnston. William Nylander contract breakdown: $10 million salary this season with a $2 million signing bonus, $700,000 salary next season with an $8.3 million signing bonus, slightly different, and then $2.5 million salary, $3.5 signing bonus for the next 4 seasons after that. So the key thing is in year 1, this year, his contract, his cap hit is 10.21, years 2 through 6, which are the years that matter, 6.97. And because why not, William Nylander received a 10-team no-trade list in year 6 of this extension, the only year where he was eligible to receive one. So maybe some of you watching right now or some of your friends are going, whoa, his cap hit is $10 million this year? Yeah, there's a bit of a penalty for signing a contract late, but the key thing here is it doesn't matter because the Leafs still have over $5.1 million in cap space for this season. The one thing you might have noticed on there, the roster is currently at 24 players, the limit is 23. Someone is going to have to get sent down, and that someone might have to get waived. But the big pickle with the whole Nylander contract wasn't this season. You might have heard of Austin Matthews. He's going to get paid. You might have heard of Mitch Marner. Turns out he's going to get paid too. Will the Leafs be able to afford all 4? Important note from Cap Friendly. With William Nylander's AAV set at 6.9 blah, 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 for the outer years, and based on the current list of players on the club's active roster, we now show the Leafs with 56.2 blah, blah, blah in total cap hit dollars committed to 12 players, 7 forwards, 4 D, 1 goalie. So the cap is currently 79.5. Let's say it only goes up $500,000. It'll probably go up more than that to 80 million. That's 24 mil in cap space, which, yeah, the lion's share of that is going to go to Matthews and Marner. But the forwards who would be locked up are Tavares, Nylander, Marleau, Kadri, Hyman, Brown, Gauthier, surprisingly, and no surprise, Matthews and Marner. That's the bulk of one of the scariest offenses in the NHL. Kapanen will be a challenge, Johnsson will be a challenge, but those players don't evaporate. The Leafs have them. They own their rights. So maybe they can talk them into a reasonable, cheap contract, or, like some of you were screaming for in Willy's situation, they can trade them. Worst case scenario, every summer there's guys like Tyler Ennis available. The Leafs have some good young players in the minors. And the players we're talking about are probably going to play on the 4th line, maybe the 3rd. Freddie Anderson is still locked up. That is an enormous part of the team. This, to me, is the part that's interesting. Locked up to contracts on defense next season, Justin Hall, Travis Dermott, Nikita Zaitsev, and Morgan Rielly. So there's Hainsey, and I know a lot of Leaf fans are like, no, don't go. Rielly's contract is wicked. Zaitsev's a little tough. Gardner's really the big name there. I love this feature on Cap Friendly. Non-roster defense, they got guys like Calle Rosen, Andreas Borgman. Rasmus Sandin has been killing it with the Marlies. Timothy Liljegren is an option. Jesper Lindgren, who I believe is still in Europe. Vincent Loverde still with the Marlies, and Jordan Subban still with the Marlies. You might have to go a little young and cheap on the back end, but looking at what the back end is right now, is that such a bad thing? Here's the interesting thing to me. So next year, there's obviously still going to be a bit of a cap crunch. I don't think it'll be quite as dire as people say, but it's still going to be tight. This year, the Leafs are 19-8. They're about to get William Nylander back, and they still have over $5 million in cap space. Next year's fun to talk about. This year, they got a shot. I'm talking a pickup now or at the deadline, maybe 2 or 3. They have the room, they have the assets to go for it. The issue is, because they have a crunch coming, how much of those assets do you want to give up? You're gonna need decent young players down the line. Maybe the key term being decent young cheap players. Do you want to give up some of the guys that you have in the minors or Europe or junior? Do you want to give up some of those draft picks? Because man, look at this team, look at the record, look at the standings. They might do the thing. But I'm getting away from the subject at hand. William Nylander. That sweet golden hair, pitchable cheek boy. I've seen some people talk about, well, William Nylander is only like a 20 goal scorer. Dude, Marner's goal totals in the NHL so far have been 19 and 22. What about this year? He's killing it. Yeah, he's on pace for 18. You heard right. Mitch Marner is on pace for his worst goal-scoring season of his career. His career high set just last season was 69 points, which is nice, but this season he's on pace for 97. It's almost like assists exist. And William Nylander picks up a big old bunch of them, as well as scoring only 20 goals. And this isn't to take away credit from Marner, it's to give Willy credit. And also, consider this. Marner has been disgusting this season, and if you're the opposition, you'd be stupid not to cover him. So imagine all the space Willy's gonna get, and he's gonna be playing with Austin. Dude. Marner, Tavares, Hyman, Nylander, Matthews, whoever wins that lottery, Kadri and his band of merry men, the Leafs offense is a nightmare! For 30 teams around the league anyway. For Leafs fans, it's the dream team. And yeah, while the Leafs are 19-8, they're one of the best teams in the league, they haven't always looked dominant. Scoring a lot of goals, but in a lot of games the other team has the puck more. Some of that is score effects because the Leafs tend to lead in a lot of their games, but some of it is them getting outplayed and Freddie bailing them out a little bit. Nylander will make the Leafs a better possession team. They will have the puck more, and if this team with these weapons has the puck more, oh, are you in trouble? Steve, how are you not worried about Marner? How are you not worried about Matthews? Oh my goodness, the cap crunch. Listen, we've been talking about the cap for months. We've been worrying about Nylander. Will he sign or won't he sign while the Leafs are off to one of their best starts in franchise history? You cannot forget the future, and you have to prepare for it, of course. But for the love of Lonnie Bohannes, enjoy the gift of a hockey team that is in front of you. If Nylander keeps improving over the course of this 6-year deal, which he's in his early 20s, I think he might, his deal will be robbery by the end of it. Unrestricted free agents in the NHL who score about 30 goals a season, think of JVR, Evander Kane, those guys get $7 million for getting out of bed. If Nylander's production just stays put, 61 points per season for the next 6 years, what do you think a 60-plus point player is going to be worth 6 years from now? Well, what about David Pastrnak? He's not better than him. Pasternak's deal is a steal. Players who produce like Nazem Kadri deserve more than $4.5 million a year. Kadri becomes an unrestricted free agent tomorrow. There's no way he goes for less than 7. Are you joking? Don't believe me? Paul Stastny scored 53 points last season. This summer, he signed a 3-year deal for $6.5 million per. The only thing that annoys me a little bit about this is that it took 2 months. Well, that's because both sides seemed to be relatively quiet and they didn't have all the details. You know, everyone was talking about Nylander asking for 8. What if the Leafs' initial offer was 6? Oh, whatever. That's only $6 million over the course of the contract. He still got over $40 million. Yeah, easy for you to say. But if losing a few $100,000 at the start of this season got him several $million down the line, it's kind of hard to blame him. I'll end with this one plea, okay? Leafs fans, welcome this guy back with open arms. Your team is 19-8 and it just got better. Why you have to be mad? Look, it's not your money. Nah, bro, he's greedy. I'm done with him. Yeah, you're done with him until he does some sick stuff on the ice, which he usually does. I can already see it happening. He's gonna be a little rusty at first, and people are gonna get on him. Oh, you should have been here the whole time. That wouldn't happen. Give it a sec. I think he's gonna be just fine. And with that, let's talk about the game. It's time for LFR. It's about time, man. What the heck? I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, but can you be a little more concise with it? Last video, I got like a 2-second intro, and in this one, I'm halfway through the Goblet of Fire. Hi! Victory, puppy! Plan the parade!
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Congratulations, Elite! This team is ruining my life! Victory, puppies, boys! Willy signed 6.9 treats for all of you! Yeah! I did not think this through. This is gonna take a while. I need a snack too. This video is already like half an hour long. Come on, Freddy. Oh, get it, Freddy. Oh, come on. What about this one? Oh, yeah! Empty netter. Yeah. Leafs win! 5-3! It's the only score they know how to win by over the Minnesota Wild. Zach Hyman with the Zach Hyman special. That's a goal and an empty netter. Austin Matthews scored again, and in case you didn't know, Austin Matthews is a Leaf! Tyler Ennis is also a Leaf, scoring in this one. Remember, the Minnesota Wild bought him out just a few months ago. They're sitting around today listening to Post Malone, feeling all bad about it. Whatever, man, he was making too much money. We didn't even need him. Better Now starts playing, and they just start weeping. Let's talk about this game. First period, Matt Dermott takes a hook and call on Patrick Marleau. How dare you? It's weird. The Leafs went through this little stretch where no penalties were being called. Not against them, not for them, not at all. And that trend stopped when Austin Matthews came back, which, if I may say to the teams the Leafs have faced recently, is a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. It did not. Morgan Rielly gives it to, yeah. Mitch does the Mitch thing straight to Austin Matthews, and in 13 goals in 13 games, yawn, and the Leafs are up 1-0 early. It's so funny now that when Matthews was out of the lineup, people are talking about, oh, aren't you worried about the fact that he always gets hurt? Well, I definitely don't love when he's out of the lineup, if that's what you're asking. But what I worry about the most when it comes to injuries with players is the lasting effects. Like, to me, it's a miracle that a guy like Patrice Bergeron is still so elite, because he gets hurt a lot. A lot of players who do get hurt, maybe it's only one or two really big ones, and that's sort of it for them. Or they're still in the league, but they're never the same. Matthews? Yeah, he's fine. About 6 minutes later. The fourth line heading into this game, you know they just heard that Willy was signed. Freddie the Goat already not in the lineup anymore. Per Lindholm in his spot, which means one of Ennis or Levo is gonna be scratched soon. So you could say it's a big game for them. Tyler Ennis taking on the team that just bought him out. It's a little bit of a big game for him. And this was just a gritty goal, a great fourth line shift. And not to rub it in too much to Wild fans, but not just a fourth line shift, fourth line third pair shift. Ozhiganov takes a shot, which I wish he would use more, except I wish he would hit the net. He misses big time. Puck goes around the boards. Travis Dermott steps up and keeps the puck alive. With the loose puck still alive in the Minnesota zone, Per Lindholm goes into it with Greg Pateryn. Lindholm knocks Pateryn right on his butt. Pateryn, by the way, a former Leafs draft pick, and another former Leaf great, Eric Fehr, jumping in to save the situation. But with Lindholm battling two guys, he jabs the puck loose to Tyler Ennis, who's alone. Josh Levo's in front battling with Nick Seeler, so Tyler Ennis just throws it in front. No need for Levo to clean up the garbage because it banks off Seeler and in. It is a 2-0 Leafs lead. And that is how it would go into intermission. Nope. Because Eric Staal is on the Minnesota Wild. This guy, this unexplainable Leafs boogeyman. Okay, for a long time, over the years, people have gone, wow, here's this star player's record against the Leafs. This many goals, this many assists. Wow, he's a Leafs killer. Yeah, that's because that player's career started in the early 2000s, and right after that, the Leafs started to suck for a decade. So of course they look like a Leaf killer. Everyone was a Leaf killer for the past 10 years. But Eric Staal is a guy where it's like, no, he's a Leaf killer. Every bloody game! And he doesn't need much time. Suter's in the corner, Tavares on him. Both Hyman and Rielly are on Staal in front with time winding down. Hyman leaves the situation to go after Suter. It must have been a miscommunication between Hyman and Rielly because Rielly does not pick up Staal fast enough. Suter easy pass, Staal easy shot. That's a recipe for an easy goal. They beat Freddie Anderson 2-1 heading into intermission. Second period, about 5 minutes in, this was just no bueno. Puck is in the air, Travis Dermott is looking at it and he's trying to catch it on his stick completely flat-footed. Which, if you get it, alright, fine, but what if you don't? And he didn't. Niederreiter starts a 2-on-1 for the Wild. Ozhiganov is back and he presses R1 and L1, but it doesn't work. Pass gets through to Jordan Greenway, who scores. Jordan Greenway, by the way, the brother of JD Greenway, a Leafs draft pick, and the Wild, who were down 2-0, tie it up at 2s. You know, Leaf games have been a lot of fun and a lot of back and forth action. One goal leads tend to not last very long, but one thing the Leafs have done a great job of this season, despite all their perceived shortcomings, 2-goal leads and stuff like that, they've done a good job of defending. It's not like the past couple seasons where they could have a 6-0 lead with 6 minutes left and I'm sitting there like, I don't know, that's only a goal a minute. They've been much better at holding it down, and now it's not even halfway through the game and they've coughed it up. And I gotta say, I hated Travis Dermott's reaction after this goal. Swearing, mad at himself, and I totally get it. He was wearing the goat horns on that play. But you know what we've seen too much of over the past few games, and he's done so well over this last little stretch, is the camera immediately going to Travis Dermott after a goal. This is one of those situations where I'd like an older guy on the team, a grizzled vet, to be like, dude, calm down. It's gonna be fine. Remember that play you made in the first to make it 2-0? That was you, man. You want a young player to learn, not dwell. About 10 minutes later, Gardner with a bomb doesn't get through. The rebound comes out, and Marner is so good. He can just do things on his skates that 90% of the league's players can't do. Keeps it in, guess what Mitch thing? Zach Hyman's being annoying in front, it goes off of him, and in the Leafs take the 3-2 lead. Except they're reviewing it. What the? It seemed like the review was for goaltender interference, but apparently what they were looking at is did he bash it in with his glove? Which it certainly wasn't goalie interference, and if that's what you thought the review was for, I get why you would have been upset. But no, he didn't paw the thing in, it wasn't goalie interference, that's a goal. And don't get too offended, I was working at CBC last night, which I'll get to a little bit later. There were like 4 or 5 reviews yesterday, there were a lot. This one counts, Marner with another assist, Hyman gets a goal, and the Leafs are back on top. We go to the third. About halfway through the third, Marner tries to ring it around the boards behind the Leafs net, doesn't work. Jason Zucker, who's slowly turning into a Leafs killer himself, he got a hat trick last year or the year before, puts it in front of Granlund, he can't bang it in, doesn't matter, Zucker does it himself. Oh, does this guy like scoring goals? Minnesota's going nuts, the building's going crazy, that goal horn goes on for like half an hour, and the Wild tie it, I don't know, overtime? And with less than 5 minutes left, the Leafs aren't looking good, the Wild are kind of caving them in. And Jim Houston says the Leafs might just want to hold on for overtime. Man, over 4 minutes left with this team is a lot of time, my friend, in both good and bad ways. For Leafs fans, in this particular instance, it was good. Just like the coffee! Like less than a minute after Houston says that, Connor Brown has the puck. Brown pass in front, not even to the front, like to the side of the net to Kadri, who just chips in this piece of garbage. But you ever throw something into a garbage pail and it takes a couple rim shots before it goes in? I don't know if this is the greatest analogy. I'm not calling the Minnesota Wild garbage. But the puck bounces off a couple Wild defenders and in! Nazem Kadri puts the Leafs up 4-3 with just 3:20 to go. Now who will be happy just to see overtime? That goal is the 8th of Kadri's season. Oh man, he's kind of struggling. Nope, still on pace for 24. It's not 32, but it's also not April. And I love when Kadri scores goals like this because he laughs. He knows it wasn't him. He knows it was lucky. His reaction to this goal reminded me of when Chris Russell scored on his own net. He's just like, I don't know. Listen, it counts. Now kill it. Wild with the net empty, they have a flurry. Dumba bombing it. Stop. Rebound wide. Dude, Dumba's one of the most underrated players in the NHL so far this season. He's already got 10 goals. Reminder, he's a defender. There's a little bit of Eastern bias there. Riley puts up those kind of numbers. We talk about him in the Norris conversation. Dumba, it's just, whoa, I didn't know that. Anyway, they're playing a game, Steve. Only a few seconds later, Suter's got the puck at the point. Hyman's battling him. Pokes it loose. We got a foot race. It could be a big one. Dude, if Suter dusts Hyman there, it is a temporary 6-on-4. But Suter, big hulking Ryan Suter battling with Zach Hyman, he falls, loses an edge, Hyman keeps trucking, he's got a clear breakaway, tucks it in the net. His second of the game, 6th of the season, he's got as many goals on goalies as he does on the empty net, 3-3. Doesn't matter, they all count. The Leafs win 5-3. 19-8. How good is that? Glad you asked. The Maple Leafs have won 10 of their first 13 road games to begin a season for the first time in franchise history. And look at this, the Leafs' best record through 27 games. Kind of niche, but I like it. Leafs having their best start since 1934. The coffee is good, and so are the Leafs. Minnesota Wild fans, if I were you, some teams have an identity that lasts for a very long time through coaches and personnel. For the Flyers, usually anyway, it's that they're rough and tough and they fight a lot and they're mean. With the Wild, it's that they're boring. But like in a good way, it wins them a lot of games. And Matthews sort of said that after this one. Now, I don't know how much getting almost 40 shots is boring, but I guess my bigger concern would be the Wild are just sort of middle of the pack again. I've said for a long time, the worst teams in the league, or at least the teams in the worst position in the league, are teams where you can't really tell what they are. Are the Wild a contender? They don't really look like it. Are they rebuilding? No. Now, those aren't your only two options, but what are they doing? Do you have a legit chance of winning the Cup this year, or with the prospects and whatever you have in the system, do you have a legit chance of winning the Cup in the future? So if I were you, I would have some questions, but they also have a GM who hasn't been there for very long in Paul Fenton. So in that sense, I think it's an interesting, even exciting time to be a Minnesota Wild fan. That's how I would feel if I were you. Questions? Nylander? Yes. When do you want to see Willy back in the lineup, and where do you think he's going to fit in? Well, there's going to be rust and jet lag, although going from Europe to North America is easier than the opposite. At least that's been my experience. I saw on the broadcast last night, they were saying, Hyman, Tavares, Marner, okay, yeah, well, Kapanen, Matthews, Nylander, which makes the fourth line pair Lindholm in the middle, and then I think there's there's going to be a bit of a rotation between Ennis, Levo, and Janssen. Here's where it gets really interesting. Do you waive Goat? Do you waive Hall? You're not even playing him. Do you waive Levo? Do you waive Ennis? Or how about this? Consider this, with Willy out of the way, Dubas can actually do stuff. Since he became Leafs GM, he obviously opened with a bang. He had that Tavares signing, it's huge. But then I think he was handcuffed a little bit by the Willy situation because he didn't really know what his team was. Now he's got an answer, and the brand new GM of the Leafs can make his team look like his team. I think we might see a move. Thoughts on Brian Burke's comments on Nylander being the Leafs' 7th best player on contract? I mean, any fan who's paying attention, let alone a GM, knows that that's not how it works, man. Okay, up until last season, John Tavares was making $6 million, less than actually. Does that mean no one on the Islanders should have been making more than $6 million because he signed a ridiculously good value deal? Matthews and Marner are both on their entry levels. Now maybe what he was suggesting is that Nylander is expendable and you can trade him for a defenseman, yada yada. Nylander's contract is fair. I don't think it's a steal for the Leafs necessarily. I don't think Nylander's making off like a bandit. It is about what it should be. It's market value. It's not nice that he sat out for a couple months, but looking at the deal, I don't think there's a controversy here, man. Just a really good hockey team. Smile. What was your heart rate at 4:55 p.m. December 1st? Okay, so I was about to host Hockey Central Saturday with Rob Pizzo. I'm in the CBC building. The show starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. And so we got our show prepped, we got a bunch of guests, and we're like, okay, what are we starting the show with? We don't know if the news is gonna break right now. We don't know if it's gonna break at 5:10. Is it gonna break in the middle of us having a guest? And sure enough, the news breaks like 3.5 minutes before we go to air, which would normally be pandemonium, but we were expecting it, and also his cap hit was basically what we thought it would be. The thing that annoyed me the most about this is I'm like, what? We knew it was gonna be this way. Why'd you make us wait? But whatever, it got done. We had our guests. The games began. We went back and forth between the games. Rob was obviously steering the ship there. And here's something about Hockey Central Saturday I didn't know. This was only my second time co-hosting it. It's after Coach's Corner. Sometimes Don just comes on. Like, he doesn't tell anyone. You just sort of hear his voice around the corner and you go, I think that's Don Cherry. And then he just sits down in front of a microphone and talks for 15 minutes. So yada yada yada. I got to talk to Don Cherry, basically got to interview him with Rob Pizzo on Hockey Central Saturday. This wasn't my first time meeting Don Cherry, although he wouldn't remember the first time. That's in the book. But we shook hands, I introduced myself, and we just talked hockey in the CBC building. None of it would be possible without you watching these videos, so thank you. Finally, after like 300 clips, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends that William Nylander is a Leaf! Now we can finally get back to talking about hockey.